Alec Murdaugh took the stand in his own double murder trial today. Murdaugh is accused of killing his wife and son at the family hunting estate in June of 2021.
Our Aaron Baker has been following this, and he joins us now. Aaron, a big day in the Murdaugh trial.
Yeah, Carol, Nigel, a big day. Alec Murdaugh testifying in his trial leads to several questions. Two of those being, what's the benefit to the defense and how could the prosecution take advantage of it?
I want to testify.
A surprising turn in the Alec Murdaugh case, Murdaugh testifying in his own defense.
I don't know why a person who's presumed to be innocent would get on the stand and give the prosecution evidence. We just don't have to do that in the United States, and I just don't know why he would, except maybe he thought he could convince somebody.
He took the stand against advice of his counsel. Murdaugh's defense attorney Jim Griffin asked him point blank whether he killed Paul and Maggie.
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
Davita Mathis is an attorney in the upstate who has been following the case.
He did look frail. I had not seen him for that long a period of time in a while, and he looks a lot smaller than I've ever seen him look. It was obviously rehearsed.
Those matter-of-fact answers turned emotional moments later.
I was on the phone with 911, and I was trying to tend to Paul. I was trying to tend to Maggie. And I just went back and forth between them.
NBC News reports that at one point, one juror that was sitting close to him actually slid a Kleenex box in his direction.
The fact that he cried probably made the jurors see him as human and behaving in an appropriate manner under the circumstances. And pushing him a box of tissues probably means, you know, he's human, he's doing what I would expect him to do.
In cross-examination, prosecutors grilled Murdaugh on his business finances, despite the trial being focused on the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. Mathis says the prosecution did that for one key reason.
That's what they're proving, that he's a liar and a cheat. And it doesn't really have much to do with the case, the murder case, but they're proving he's a liar and a cheat.
During the testimony, Alec explained why he lied to investigators about the last time he saw Maggie and Paul on the night they were killed.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them.
Did you lie to them by telling them that you were not down at the kennels on that night?
Yes.
Alec, why did you lie to Agent Owen, Agent Croft, and Deputy Rutland about the last time you saw Maggie and Paul?
As my addiction evolved over time, I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid thinking.
Horrible for his case. He said several reasons why he lied. Number one, he admitted to being a liar, and he's been proven a liar through the testimony from that he gave to the prosecutor, Mr. Waters. But he said, my partners told me not to talk. It was the partner's fault. They told him not to talk. Yet he talked. And not only did he talk, he lied. And I'm suspicious of SLED. Why? And my addiction. Well, one thing about addiction and paranoia is those people who are addicted and paranoid are hardly self-aware. And it's as if he's standing outside himself saying, oh, I'm an addict and my addiction causes me to be paranoid.
She says despite that, the prosecution still has work to do to prove their case.
There's a real reach between somebody being a liar, a cheat, and a thief, and somebody murdering their own wife and son. Yeah, he was in financial trouble. He was addicted to drugs. He stole from clients. But would that make you kill your wife and your son?
Court will resume tomorrow morning at 9:30, and you know there's been a big focus on Murdaugh's addictions and on his business dealings. I asked Davita where the prosecution should go from here. She recommended they refocus on the murders and the inconsistencies there.